You're still muted, Tim. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got that now. Sorry about that, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this 1-hour free Snazaroo Halloween face painting workshop class. My name is Tim DePack, and I'll be your chat host and class moderator for this class. We are happy to have with us tonight artist Mandy Peltier, who many of you may recognize from her Winsor Newton watercolor classes performed here on Michaels.com and the Zoom class. In this class, Mandy will demonstrate for you in real time just how easy it is to paint some cute and scary faces, such as a bee, a cat, a shark, a witch, and a vampire. This class is great for those who are looking for ideas for the upcoming Halloween season, and all other Snazaroo face painting guides can be easily done for both children and adults. And just so you know, Snazaroo face paints are made in the UK. They are suitable for sensitive skins, cosmetic grade, fragrance-free, easy to apply and wash off, cruelty-free, and available in 50 plus colors. Over the course of the next hour, feel free to paint along with Mandy or sit back, relax, and watch as she transforms her kids' faces in a few quick and easy steps. This class will be recorded and available tomorrow for viewing at your leisure. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to Mandy.
Thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here tonight, and I have 5 really cute and fun face designs to show you. And I'm going to work in order tonight from youngest to oldest. So I have as young as 5 all the way, or 4 all the way up to 13. So a nice range of ages and face designs that look really cute on them. So we'll start with the youngest, the 4-year-old, and she's going to be our witch tonight. So I'm going to switch seats with her.
Switch seats. You get in that one, and she'll get in that one.
Uh-oh, we have some stage fright here. All right, so this is Amelia, and she's going to be our witch tonight, and we'll move her up there. All right, and this is the design I'm going to show you. And so how I like to start is I like to take one of the Winsor & Newton sponges, and I'll just soak it in some water. And then I'll take a paper towel, and I'll just sort of blot it on the paper towel so it's not soaking wet. And then for all of the designs tonight, you can use the rainbow set. But on the Winsor or the Snazaroo website, it just does say to use the rainbow face paint for this. So I'm going to start with the green, and then I'm going to add some nice dimension using the yellow and blue, and then I'll go on with the spider web and the spider. So I'll start with some green. So what I do to put some green on the sponge is I'm just going to take the wet sponge. I'm going to really push it into that green. Really push it into that green, and then I can start to apply it to the face. And I just sort of dab it on. And this is probably the longest part of this particular face design, is painting the whole face in the green and then contouring with the yellow and blue. And whenever you kind of run out of green, you can just do the same process again by running the wet sponge into the green paint. You can always add a bit more water if you need, but I'm just going to cover her whole face with this green. Amelia, how does the paint feel? Does it feel good? And this is probably the longest design that I'll be painting tonight, because it's the most detailed. Amelia, you're so cute. You're already starting to look like a witch. All right, so we have a good little base here. So now I'm just going to use the same sponge, and I'm just going to go into the yellow just a bit. Again, I'm just going to add a little bit of contouring to the face, just a little bit of yellow down here. This is a little bit different than the Snazaroo step-by-step directions, but I think it just adds some nice color and dimension to the face painting design. And then I'll add just a little bit of the blue to the nose and chin area, and then we'll be done with the base for this particular design. There you go. How does that feel, Amelia? Good. Okay. All right. So the next step is I'm going to paint on the spider and the spider web, and I only need black for that. And the kits come with a square brush, but you can also buy some round brushes separately. And I do like to use the round brushes when I'm doing line work, because that way I can get more consistent thin lines. So I'm going to use the smaller round brush for Amelia's face here. And same with the sponge, I'm just going to take my wet brush and I'm going to run it into that black. And then I'm just going to start by painting on some spider webbing, the top of her forehead. I'm going to do it on both sides. Now I'm doing the curved lines for the spider web, and I'm going to do that on both sides here. You see how fast this is. It really doesn't take long. You can move pretty fast. And then to do the actual spider, I'm going to paint on a larger circle and fill it in. And then I'm going to paint on a smaller circle on the top to kind of serve as his body and head. And then I'm going to draw on his 8 legs. So I'm just going to try to go as thin and fast as I can and just make them kind of gnarly and curly. And it's okay if you overlap a little. And then if you want, you can also draw a spider web kind of starting down from this side. I'm going to turn you, Amelia, just a little bit. Just kind of draw a thin little line over here. And then you can paint on another little spider in the same way. So large circle painted in for the body. And then a smaller circle for the head. And then his little spider legs.
Mandy, just for people watching at home, this is the paint straight from the pan, right? No water added to this?
Well, there's water on my brush.
Okay,
And so I put water on my brush and then I stir it into the paint to activate it.
okay, perfect. Just so everybody knows that's painting along with us.
All right. And now if you want, you can add some little highlights or flourishes with white and black. I'll go ahead and start with white, but when you're moving from white to black, you really want to make sure you have your brush completely rinsed out, or you're going to add gray to the face instead of white. So same thing with my wet brush, I'm going to run it into the white paint and kind of stir it in to activate the paint. Similar to watercolor, you got to activate it with some water. And then just wherever there's room, I'm just going to draw some or paint on some little flourishes. So just kind of some wispy strokes with the brush. You don't have a lot of room up here, but I might do a couple up here. Turn you this way, girly. Maybe one over here. And then you can also add a few dots with white. So I'm going to do like some polka dots with some white and black. So same thing with the white paint. I'm going to load up my brush with some white paint. And I'm just going to press the very tip of the brush onto Amelia's face here. Just wherever there's room, just to put some little white dots. And then I might also go over with some black dots. Amelia, you're doing awesome. You want to look at the camera and smile, or you can give a really grumpy look since you're a witch. All right. And then last touch, I'm just going to do some black polka dots too. Now in the Ultimate Party Pack, there is some glitter that you could also put on. I think that'd be really pretty on the switch and make it look a little glamorous. So it looks like this. And it also comes with the brush that you can apply it with. And so if you were to apply this to Amelia, I think this would be a nice little touch. You could just add a little bit of glitter here and there just to make it look extra sparkly and fun. All right, Amelia, go ahead and take a look at the camera. Right up here, honey. And we're done. That's the witch. Good job, Amelia. All right.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you.
All right. All right, and this is Amelia's sister, Evelyn, and she is going to be our kitty cat. And the kitty cat will look something like this when I'm done. All right, you ready, Evelyn? All right, so I am going to rinse out my brush really fast here. And I'm gonna start by painting on the ear shape, and I'm gonna sponge a little bit of white onto the nose and also paint this area where the whiskers will be. So that's where I'll start, and that only needs white.
Like right here.
You're right, Evelyn, white is right here. So same thing, I have a wet brush. I'm gonna use my larger round brush, at least to start. Stir that into the white to get a nice base of paint. And then I'm going to start painting it on. I'm just doing, I guess you could call them the little cat ears. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm just kind of starting from the thicker side and then kind of lifting up my brush towards the end so it kind of creates more pointed strokes. And I'm going to do the same thing where the whiskers are going to be. I have a great model in Evelyn. You're doing awesome, girl. And if the paint doesn't go on as saturated or as opaque as you might like, you can always wait for the first layer to dry and then go over with the second layer. I'm not going to do that tonight just because of time constraints, but that is always an option. Make sure they're even here. And I always try to start in kind of the same spot on both sides. Like I try to find places on the face where you can kind of begin so that it is symmetrical and even. So I kind of started the ears on each side of the eyebrow and the whiskers sort of on each side of the nose. And then for her little kitty cat nose, I'm going to just put a little bit of white on her nose, but then I'm going to use a sponge to sort of smooth it out. Does that tickle? A little bit. Because I already have white on my brush. I don't really need to run the wet sponge into the white. I can just sort of dab it on this way. That's a cute face you're making. All right, and then I'm also going to dab a little bit on along her upper lip in the same manner. Oh, working with little kids is so much fun. Although you're not little, you're a big girl, aren't you? You're in kindergarten now. Okay, now the next step is I'm going to apply pink to the nose and also pink to the kind of whisker cheek area.
Whisker cheek. Yeah, I have this part of that.
That's right. All right, so I'll put a little bit of pink on the brush now.
Ooh.
In the same way, I'm going to just wet my brush and then run it into that. I don't want to call it a cake like I would for watercolor because it's not made the same way, just to activate it. And then I'm just going to paint on the little pretty kitten nose. Just like that. Just run it along the very bottom of the nose like so. And then I'll put a little bit of pink on each side of the cheeks. And then I'm going to use the sponge to just sort of gently blend it into the white. And some of the kits come with a really small sponge too. You can also use a small sponge if that's going to help you be more precise. You are looking awesome. How's it feel? Good. Okay.
Kind of cold.
Kind of cold. Well, the house is a little bit cold. All right. And now I'm going to add in the details with the black.
I can see through the paper.
You can see through the paper. It's probably all the lighting in here. So same thing. I'm going to switch to my thin round. I'm going to just run it into the black to activate it here. And one thing I realized I forgot to do is put the little hairs in between the ears. And I just need white for that. So let me do that real fast. Right here, I'm just going to add some little straight up and down, some curved strokes right there to serve as some hair. All right, and now I'm ready to paint on the ears and the whisker. So I'm going to start by just drawing two curved lines on each side of the ears. If I do both at the same time, I'm more likely to have them be symmetrical. And then I'll go ahead and do the curved lines for the rest of the ears.
Yeah, over here.
It's okay. And then maybe a few black hairs inside the ears. And we'll we'll kind of outline some of this hair like so. And then we'll draw. It kind of looks like a mustache. I think this one looks funny. There we go. It does look funny. Okay, and then we'll put little dots. You're going to be the cutest cat in town. And then the whiskers. Actually, I'll do a little straight line right there. And then I'll try to just draw nice, thin, quick lines for the whiskers. And look at me, girly. You're done. You are, oh, meow. So look at the camera and meow. That's good, Evelyn. Very cute. All right. You are done, girly. Let me help you down.
While Mandy's making that switch, I'll let people know Snazaroo face and body paint is made from cosmetic grade ingredients. It contains strong pigments for total coverage and vibrant colors all day long. All Snazaroo face paints are fragrance-free, non-toxic, and paraben-free. They have been reviewed by an independent professor of dermatology and professional toxicologist. The ingredients are fully compliant with FDA toy and cosmetic regulations, plus quality control measures at our factory ensure that when you open up the seal on your Snazaroo product, you're the first person to touch that face paint. It's easy on and easy off. Just add a few drops of water to your color, then apply smoothly on the skin with a brush or sponge, and then to remove, use soap and warm water, no scrubbing, and no harsh removers.
All right, thank you, Tim. And next up is, this is my son, Milo. And his favorite animal right now is a shark. So this is just an absolutely perfect face painting design for him. And it is a lot easier than it looks, and it only takes 3 colors. It only takes blue, white, and black. So here's the step-by-step here. I'm going to start with blue, and I'm going to add white, and then I'll add some black for detail. All right, and for this, I don't even need the sponge. I'm going to use a square brush to start, the one that comes with the kit, and just the blue paint color that comes in the rainbow set. And I also used the rainbow set for the kitty cat I just did. So I'm using the rainbow set for all the designs, even though some of the paint sets also work for these designs, and I'll point that out when I get to the next couple, because you can also use the Halloween set for some of these and the Ultimate Party Pack as well. All right, so I'm going to start by painting on the shark face. I'm going to kind of start over here and draw the first part of the shark, and I'm just sort of following along with the tutorial example that they have on the website. You can go to tips and tutorials on the website, and they have all kinds of face designs that you can follow along with as you paint and be successful. And I love that they're all just 3 steps, so it makes it a lot easier to know that you're doing it right, and it just makes it a lot more simple. And I'm going to show you a quick tip. If you accidentally add paint where you shouldn't apply it, how do you remove it? Well, there's a few different ways. You can use a baby wipe. That is pretty precise to lift the paint. You can also use Q-tips. So I want to make sure I have enough room for the teeth on the shark. So I want to lift a little bit of this off. And so I can just use a toothpick while the paint is still clean, and it pretty much just lifts it right off. But if it started to dry to the skin, you can just put a little bit of water on the toothpick, and then that will just take it right off too. So this is a good way to smooth things out if you need to smooth things out, or to correct mistakes. All right, I'm just trying to get an even coat of blue here before we add on the shark teeth. Milo, how much do you like sharks?
100.
100. He has about every shark book that is currently published right now, I think. All right, and then I'm going to paint on the fin that's on this side of the face. So you can start by just painting on a V if you want, if that's going to be easier for you. and then painting in the body, or, you know, the main part of the fin, I guess you could say. And using a swivel stool, I'm telling you, it makes painting faces a lot easier. And then now I can just sort of shape up the fin to make it look more shark-like. Making the top a little bit thinner than the bottom. You can make it as big or as little as you want. You can have it take up the whole face or just a little bit of the face. I don't think sharks do that, Milo. All right, and now we are ready for the shark's teeth. So I'm going to use the thicker round brush with white. Same process as before, just run that wet brush into the white. And I'm going to start with the bottom teeth here, and then I'll move to the top. So for the bottom, I'm going to start at the tip and then just sort of press my brush down to make a thicker tooth at the bottom. So start off light and then kind of get thicker, or press with more pressure with your brush. You can kind of thicken up the bottom part too. I'm going to put 4 or 5 teeth there. Milo likes to lean in as I paint his face. Here, sit back, bud.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm going to move to the top. Do the same thing. I'm going to try to get some at an angle here. There we go. All right, and then to do the eye, I'm going to switch to the smaller round brush, but still white. And you're just kind of making a gumdrop shape. Right there, just like a little gumdrop. And then last is we're just going to add a few gills with black, and we're just going to sort of outline the eye. So all of these are really fast. All right, so I'll do a few, just 3 kind of curved lines. And then for the eye, I'm going to draw a straight line underneath it. I'm going to kind of draw around the eye. And then I'm going to draw the little pupil. All right, look at me, Milo. Very scary looking. Look at the camera. All right, and then we have an accessory for you, a fin. So put the fin on to make your costume perfect. And let's turn it to the side here. There we go. Awesome, Milo. All right, get down.
Thank you, Milo.
Sure.
So just everybody watching at home, the Snazaroo face paint products are available at Michael's stores and michaels.com. If you're at michaels.com, simply just type in the search menu Snazaroo, and the product range will show up there for you. As well, you can go to Michael's YouTube channel and also type in Snazaroo in the search, and you will find many, many other faces that Mandy and artists in the past have done for Michael's on our Michael's YouTube channel to give you inspiration for this upcoming holiday season for faces to paint.
All right, and Titus will lower you. All right, this is my second son, Titus, and he was the zombie 2 years ago when I last taught this class. And tonight he's going to be a vampire. All right, so vampire also only takes 3 colors, white, black, and red. And I'm going to sponge on the white to start. The same thing with the witch that I did on Amelia's face. I'm just going to dab it all around. You can move pretty fast. This does not hurt the kids. And with white, you might want to do a couple coats if the first coat doesn't show up very well, but this is showing up really nice tonight. Look how opaque that looks just in the first coat. That's awesome. And the zombie Titus did 2 years ago also had a white base to it. So you like the dead creatures, huh? For Halloween. You can talk, it's okay. My kids are being shy tonight. And Titus is a preteen. He's 11, so this is a good preteen design. Wish you would read Titus. And I think this is this is the easiest design I'm doing tonight. So when you look at the Snazaroo website and it shows you the step-by-steps, they have you do the things on the third step, but I actually prefer to do the things on the second step. That way you have more room to do them and you're not blocked by the blood. So I'm going to do the things next. And this one, you can use the Halloween face paint set if you want, or you can use the one I'm using, the rainbow set. They both have the colors that you need. So for the things, I'm going to draw or paint. I keep saying draw. I'm going to paint on white things on each side of his lower lip. With white. And so this white will show up a bit more opaque than what I painted on his face, since it's a more concentrated amount of color on my brush. If you use the very tip of your brush, it'll help you get a pointed end. Okay. And then if you want to remove some of that excess paint, just get one of those Q-tips like I had suggested, and you can sort of wipe it off or dab it in so it blends in with the rest of the white. And now I'm going to go in with the blood. The blood is white, and I'm going to use the smaller rounded brush for the blood. And I haven't used red yet, so I'm just going to take my wet brush and run that into the red, give it a stir. Whoops, sometimes it pops out. So this is the Halloween set. I'll just use the red in the Halloween set here and activate that. All right. And there's a stitch over here. So I'm just going to do a thin curved line, and then I'm just going to do thin lines across so it looks like stitches. Guys, can you turn your head like that so you can see the stitches? And then I'm going to do some blood over here. And it's okay if you kind of move over the things. That'll make it look more like a vampire. And the fun thing with the blood is you're just kind of pressing your brush on each side of the mouth. There's not a wrong or right way to do it. You just sort of scribble the paint on so it looks like blood. And that's part of the reason why I say this is the easiest one, because there's not a wrong way to apply the blood. And you can apply more stitches if you want to. You don't have to stop with the one I put here. But I'm just mostly following the step-by-step tutorial that's on the Snazaroo website so that you can be successful at home. And then I am going to apply some black eyebrows, some thick black eyebrows, to give him more of a Dracula look. And then I'll outline the fangs to finish things off. So to do the eyebrows, I'm actually going to start by painting just above the eyebrows, both eyebrows, because it will kind of be a guide for me. And it's almost like a triangular shape. So I always do one side and then the other, because it just helps me be more symmetrical. With my strokes, and then you kind of just fill them in as much as or little as you want. Look at me, Titus. I think that looks good. Those are some strong eyebrows you have there. All right, and then last is just outlining the fangs so they stand out a bit more and don't totally blend in with the white background of his face. So I'm going to use my thin brush, and I'm just going to gently outline the fangs. And we are done. Dracula, vampire boy. Ooh, look at that. You look awesome. Look at the camera. All right, you're good. And last but not least is my teenager. This is Charlotte, and I bet you can guess what she's going to be. She's going to be a buzzy bee. All right, why don't you take those sunglasses off? She's hoping to wear them the whole time. All right, so this is the buzzy bee. I think this is such a perfect teenager design. It's just cute and it's on trend. So I'm excited to paint this one on Charlotte's cheek. And so this one also has 3 colors. You might notice that it's only 6:32 and we're already on the last face design. So none of these take too long to do. They're pretty quick. And I haven't even been rushing through them. I've just been painting them at a normal pace. So we'll go ahead and paint on the bee, and we'll add some little glitter flourishes just like we did with Amelia and the witch. So the first step is I'm going to paint the body of the bee, and then I'm going to paint the wings. So let me actually get some fresh water. So one trick I do when I'm painting faces, if you're wondering about hygiene, is every once in a while I pour the dirty water into a cup, and then I just refill it with some clean water. And then that way I'm not using dirty water on the paints, and it's not making the yellow mix with red and turn orange. You know, that way I can keep things nice and clean and separate. All right, so let me just, I'm gonna rinse my round brush that's large because I want to use that to paint on the body of the bee as well as the wings. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing with yellow, where I'm going to take my wet brush and run it into that yellow paint. I'm not going to hold it up for the camera this time because I don't want to lose that paint on accident like I did with the red. All right, and I'm going to turn you, darling, and I'm going to paint on a pretty big circle for the bee and fill it in with yellow. So if any of you have any Halloween festivals or fall festivals, you could set up a little face painting booth, and you have 5 quick designs you could do for the kids. Might make this a little bit bigger since Charlotte is a teenager and her face is a little bit bigger than Millie and Evelyn's. And you just keep it, making it as big as you'd like. All right, I think that's good. And then I'm rinsing my brush, and I'm going to add white to it for the wings. I'm just doing the outline or the basic form for the wings. All right, so I'm going to do one wing. It's just like a hill. And the next wing, which is just another hill, almost like petals too. If you're painting flowers, think of petals. And I'm going to fill them in. Same thing. You could always add a second layer of white when the first layer is dry, if you want it to be a bit more saturated, but I think this is looking pretty good. How's it feel, Charlotte?
A little cold.
A little cold. That's what someone else said too. Our house must be cold tonight. All right. So we have the yellow and the white done. I'll add some white flourishes in a minute, but I'm going to go in with the black. And I love that this bee looks like it's in flight. I love that little detail with the dashed line. And I think it looks kind of crafty in that way. And I'm kind of like folk art or like stitch, like you're sewing. So I just love that little detail about it. All right, so I'm going to start so I don't forget. Just draw 3 little lines for his little feet using just the tip of the brush. And I'm going to do little dash, little dash, little dash. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. And I love the one that looks like a little circle. Such a cute little detail. Here we go. And then I'm going to outline the wings, and I'm going to outline the bee's body. I'm still using my thin round brush because it makes it just a little bit easier for me to work in a thin manner. Because when you're face painting, you are working at such a weird angle. And you're also working sometimes with models who move or shift and don't sit completely still. So it can be tricky. So the thinner the brush, I think the better. And then I'm going to do the wings now. There we go. And then last are just some little flourishes with white and with some glitter. I do see a little bit of black there that's going to drive me nuts if I don't fix it. So I can take one of my Q-tips and I can lift some of it off, and then I can go over it with some more yellow just to sort of fix it up. And when that dries, it'll look a lot better. It'll look a lot more even. I am a bit of a perfectionist. I got to get past that impulse to get everything just perfect and to be happy with, sometimes when you try to fix it, you end up making it look worse. So you have to know when it's okay to fix and when you should just leave it. All right, so now I'm going to do those little same flourishes that I did with the witch. We were just doing some thin white lines. It kind of looks like sparkle. Adds a little pizzazz. And then I'm also going to add some white dots, just like I did with the witch. I'm just using the tip of my brush and just dotting it wherever there's space. Some can be thick, some can be thin. They don't all have to be the same width. And then with the glitter that comes in the Ultimate Party Pack, I'm going to use the brush that comes with it. And I'm just going to add some dots with that too. And it just makes it look a little more girly, a little shinier. Not as much or as little as you want. And that is our bee. All right, Charlotte, put those shades back on. I know you want to. Perfect. All right, good job, Charlotte. All right, well, believe it or not, we have gone through all 5 face designs. So that really didn't take too long at all.
That's a 40 minutes and you've done 5 faces. Wow. That is
I know,
amazing how quick you were able to paint those faces.
We should have added a couple more designs, I guess.
Well,
I was
for everybody showing at home how quick and easy it is to do. So if it's something that, not just for Halloween, any other special events, when kids want to have their face painted, it's quick as 1, 2, 3 steps to do these.
It really is. And I was going to say, in the face painting kits, they come with a instructional booklet. And so the pirate that I have on today, I'll take my glasses off so you can see it better. I took it from this booklet. So it's this little girl right here, actually. And on the actual step-by-step, hers has hearts. But what I used was a stippler. The stippler looks like this. And I just used that to put the dots on. And so it was a little bit faster and a little bit easier than trying to manually paint on hearts. So I just wanted to point that out. The step-by-step guide has even some tutorials in techniques that aren't on the website. So you can get some other face designs by looking through this. And like I said, it comes when you buy the kit. So.
And there's a lot of other faces on snazaroo.com. You can also go on to michaels.com. There is some faces on the product pages. And like I said before, if you go to Michael's YouTube channel, you can search for Snazaroo, and there's some faces in there that were done previously. Mandy did one for us. I think it was 2 years ago where we had 5 other faces with your kids being done. So we have a pretty big library of faces and to choose from. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be just Halloween. It could be for special occasions, birthday parties and stuff like that, themed events. So it's a really great product. So I guess, Mandy, can we see if there's anybody that painted along with us at home? If there's any faces, maybe we could cycle through the gallery and see.
I will be impressed.
Who has painted their faces with us.
Yes. Yes, please, if you did. Or if you will, you can always tag your pictures. My social media is Mandy Peltier Artist. You can always tag me so I can see it.
Would anybody like to share with us if they turn their cameras on?
They're probably just watching and learning tonight, and that's okay. Face painting comes across as very intimidating, and I do think it's a learning curve because it's a lot harder to paint a real live face than it is to paint a flat canvas. But the more you practice, the easier it is. Oh, I see an awesome vampire.
Let's see who this one is.
Yeah,
Can we get him on the screen?
Very scary. And you look about the same age as my son. Very nice.
Thank you so much for having your face painted with us tonight.
Yes. And whoever painted your face, whether your mom or someone else, they did an awesome job. Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you all for coming tonight. And for those of you who will rewatch this on YouTube in the next day or so, I hope you have a great Halloween, and thanks for watching.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.